Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. Skip all the excuses for lag in uploading. We'll move right on into the video. So that's how things are today. Things are fast-paced, short attention. And I have been putting notes together. As you can see on the screen here, we got some of the basic notes, some of the things, basically a guide to go by from this recording, but I decided to put it on the screen, you know, give something to look at. And I'm just not doing a lot of face cam stuff right now. But so this video, if we get right on into it, is it's a first look at dreaming. Dreaming is a very broad, very large area. You take the Toltec teachings, the Castaneda books, the Carlos Castaneda books. You take the where he talks about dreaming, and where he talks about the active side of infinity, and the stalkers and the dreamers of a sorcerer's party. Techniques that has been purportedly passed down in regards to dreaming, lucid dreaming, specifically lucid dreaming. I have friends, occult friends who practice astral projection. And from the information and the things they've described and relayed to me from their journeys and their sojourns, I do indeed believe that they are practicing a very exciting and interesting form of consciousness projection, a lucidity, a projection of their sentience, and communicating with various beings and so on and so forth. There's no doubt in that regard. What sparked the interest in doing this video is, well, one, I've been wanting to put some content up on the channel. There's going to be, I've been working hard on second editions. Just finished up the fourth book, second edition, Enochian Chants, Kundalini Sorcery. Now I'm working on the second edition of the fifth book, The Temple King, Resurrection of 22nd Abstract Core, which is going to be, it's going to be all winter into spring kind of thing, I feel. This is a big book. It's a 200-page book as it is. It's going to end up being quite a few more pages than that when I get to second edition. The notes, the insertions, the editing, proofing, and the tarot card deck. The plan was for an 80-card deck, but the printing company, they got some restrictions. It's much easier to do a 78-card tarot deck or a 40-card oracle deck with them. To do an 80-card tarot deck, the way they require pips, examples of the court cards, examples of the major arcana, they want the file names for the layered file imagery for the names on the cards, the numbers on the cards, so it has to be done separately. Just the way it's laid out for product submissions to the printing company, a 78 card, this is going to be the standard traditional format that they're used to dealing with, or prefer to deal with. So it looks as though it's going to be a 78 card deck, which I've always had the feeling it would be. My partner in crime, artist Greg Davidson from Erie, Pennsylvania, doing extraordinary art, but a lot of his art is psychedelic. A lot of it is very esoteric, it's channeled. But the printing company requires for the pips, I believe it's the pip cards, they require pictorial scenes. So, you for your court cards, for your major arcana, you can do some pretty wild stuff. You can do some pretty bizarre stuff. You could do geometric shapes and psychedelic, esoteric, just flaming eyes, and you can do all kinds of things. But for the pip cards, they require pictorial scenes and depictions of scenes and something occurring in the scene, like, 3 children or a moose or a Eskimo or a polar bear and a small person, a little person. It's got to be something. So they do have some size requirements and pictorial requirements, and going through all that right now. But back to this recording here. This is it's going to be titled Dreams. I'll just spend probably the last 5 minutes not talking about dreams. Actually, it's been a difficult video. This is not just it's not just a video I just wanted to throw out there, like, dreams. What sparked this was a conversation between me and a close friend of mine about people that dream in color, people that dream in black and white. As you can see here, it's I looked across the internet. I searched many websites, many articles, and many posts, and of course Wikipedia and your standard places. But the consensus I came up with was that this first part, 25 to 29% of people say that they dream in color. This turned out to be in the minority of statistics in the research that. So what we ended up with, not just on mentalmesh.com, but recent studies and larger polling and canvassing revealed it's closer to 88%. So when I started this video out, it was started off a conversation about black and white color dreaming and why that occurs. I did some basic divination to try to get some answers to that. And with the answers I got back for black and white and color, it has to do with integration of energy in the third eye. It has to do with the third eye. And of course, depending on what frequency, what spin, and what resonance that your crown chakra, your throat chakra, your root and sacral and heart and solar plexus, whatever they're resonating at, because these all go together into a primary total frequency or resonance. So I mean, those of course have an effect on the third eye. I mean, if you've got your sacral and your root and your crown in the gutter, you may have a pretty nice third eye chakra going on, but it's really going to suffer because of the underperformance or the underwhelming resonant frequency of your other chakras. But the divination that I got back, the answers I got back, had to do, it really focused on the third eye. So my questions were about, why do some people dream in black and white? I've had some black and white dreams, but they're very distant memories, very let's say quite long ago, and but it has occurred. It has occurred, but they're few and far between. One from my childhood. One is from my childhood. It was black and white. It was very vivid, very lucid, very. I think it was a very potent message in visual form from my oversoul about my previous life and then my incarnation. And it was like I was 7 years old when I had this dream. I had it more than once. I had it 3 times that I recall. It was black and white. And I was alone in a house. And the house was under construction. Now, remind you, I'm 7 years old and lived in the middle of nowhere in eastern Kentucky. There's 3 channels on the TV, and the only thing anybody watched was Gunsmoke and Mayberry, Andy Griffith. I mean, that's essentially what existed as far as TV. So there wasn't, I'll just keep this in mind. So I'm in a more modern bricks subdivision home, but let's say that there was trees and there was large yards and everything around this home. This wasn't like next door, like your neighbors right next door. This was a house under construction. There were houses in the area, let's put it that way. You could see the lights from the other houses. But this house had no electric on, and the windows weren't installed, and the doors weren't installed, and there was a bright full moon, and there was cool wind whipping through this place, and I was standing there in the upstairs, and I thought, wow, this is creepy and dark and a strange dream. I was 7 years old, but I knew I was in a dream. And I looked out front side of this house, the front windows, what would be like the living room windows, whenever they were installed, if this house existed and completed and so on. In the dream, I look out the front windows and I see a wagon. I see two people in the wagon, a middle-aged man and a middle-aged woman. I don't know if they were brother or sister. I don't know if they were married. To me, they seem more like a married couple. Let's say early 40s. And they were dressed as people would dress on a winter's day in 1850, 1860, in a more rural area. But they didn't, to me, the sense wasn't American. It was more like Roma Gypsy. So let's say 1850, let's say Italy or somewhere in that area, in that region, over around Italy. And they were gypsies. It was a gypsy wagon. It was a gypsy couple. And I remember yelling out the window. And even though I didn't recognize these people, but they seemed familiar. And the familiarity that I had, it felt like they were my children. Or at least one of them was. Could have been a son with a wife. It could have been grandkids or something. I don't know. But they seemed familiar, and there seemed to be like a family familiarity. And they were telling, there was basically, the man had the reins of on the horses, and he giddy up, and they went to roll, and the wagon started going out the driveway, and I yelled out the window. I was like, "No, don't leave me here." But I wasn't talking about leave me here as in the house, in the spooky house I was in. I was talking about the body that I was in. Don't leave me here in this body. But they ignored what I said, and they rode on out. And I went to go out. I looked for the front door, and it wasn't too far away. And I was like, "Well, I'll chase this wagon down. They'll not leave me here. Not in this time, not in this place, not in this body." And I got to the door. But when I yanked the door open, the door became a mirror. A big, full-sized mirror. And in the mirror was my image, and it was like the first time seeing it. I saw a 7-year-old boy. And it wasn't me. Because what I should have seen, what I felt I should have seen, was an old man. An old 80-something-year-old gypsy man. With a beard and an old hat. And old gypsy clothes from like the 1870s. The 1860s or so on. But that's not what I saw. What I saw was a 7-year-old boy. And in that dream I knew, I was like, "Oh shit. Shit. I've incarnated." I didn't use that word. I was 7 years old. I didn't know that word, incarnated. I didn't know it. Not like I know it now. But I was that sense of like, damn it. I knew what had happened. I had incarnated into this body. And there was no catching up with them. Now the dream started getting a little darker at that point. My neck, the skin on my neck started melting. Started melting away. And it started becoming phantasmagorical. But it didn't disturb me. I almost welcomed it. I think I did welcome it. I think my reaction now to what I saw in the mirror, and to the realization that this dream was representative, it was a lucid message. Like, you're no longer the old gypsy man. You died. And that was long ago. You're here now. And this is where you're at. And you're a boy again. That was not welcomed by me so much. It's not it wasn't the yippee. There was none of that. And so I believe the phantasmagorical melting of the flesh was just my inner unpleasantness. Let's call it that. Now I'm inserting this story of the dream because I put some personal content into the video. Moving back onto the notes here. So larger polling and canvassing have revealed that the percentage of people that dream in color, 88%. Now this 88% sounds more realistic to me. 12% that never dream in color. It says of the 12% who exclusively dream in black and white, which I'm a little skeptical of this 12%. I think exclusively dreaming in black and white, that to me would be a smaller number. I don't know what that percentage would be. It just 12% seems even large for a number of people who exclusively dream in black and white. It's possible. It's entirely possible. But again, back to my divination that I did, the answers I got back were pretty basic. Third eye, blockages of the third eye, circumstances and the energy surrounding circumstances and people in relation to their third eye. That's what the divination kept pointing back to, was conditions and states of the third eye, the flow of energy, the nature of the third eye. Possibly if a person had a pretty serious blocks in the third eye, this may go on from their childhood all the way into their late adulthood. Sometimes people never clear blockages of the chakra. They live with them. They die with them. Some people have a heart attack at 50, or they get hit by a car at 30. They don't even know what the word chakra, they don't even know what that means. Sacral, root, solar plexus, all very esoteric, pish posh. So for a lot of people, the chakra never even considered, understood, or done dealt with. So, but I could see a percentage of people who may exclusively dream in black and white. I just don't think it's 12%. Now, it says right here that of the 12, or approximation, 12% who exclusively dream in black and white, 5% are under the age of 25. Well, that's a very arbitrary, and I wouldn't rely on that at all. 5% under 25. Well, what kind of canvassing? What kind of polling? I mean, what kind of number? Compilation. I mean, what kind of data compilation, extraction we got going on? So I don't really get with this. I think there's something interesting about this 25, because this has to do with like a 25 is a more of a modern age of maturation or maturity. People tend to be adult in their behaviors and more in their decision making. At age 25, it used to be 16, 17, 18, back when life was hard, and 1800, 1900, 1920, 30, 40, so on. But now, year 2000, year 2020, 21, age 25 is more of an age of maturity. Just seems to be. So I could see that being an age where there may be some kind of delineation, but this 5%, I wouldn't put too much stock in this. Now this is just stuff I've jotted down. Try not to keep these videos, try to make them too long, unless there's wild visuals and all kinds of work gone into the editing of the visual displays. Is mostly me just talking and looking at this. But researchers believe the number of people dreaming only in black and white is dropping precipitously due to the development and use of color screens, video programming, television, and the advent of the internet. Yes, this does seem to this would have an effect on people to some degree. Of course, this would have an effect on people to some degree. The television, color TV. I mean, this is just inundation. Now, in total technogalism, it's taught that the eyes are the least thing about you connected to this world. That your body, and a lot of other parts, all these other parts of the energy, the hard light energy that makes up your physicality, and the physicality of the room and the land and the building and the property that you're on and the place you're at, the city and the towers and the bridges. There's this hard light dimension. The least affiliated thing about you or me with this place is the eyes. The eyes are just what the sorcerers used to say, superficially related to this place. So the whole eyes are the window to the soul. Yes, the eyes are much more affiliated with the pervasive energy consciousness, the force that makes awareness and perception exist. Intent is what the Toltec sorcerers called it. Intent. That was just a word for the spirit energy, the abstract Nagwal source, emanation, force of energy that makes awareness and perception occur in the incarnate being. So the eyes are more related to that than we will be to this world. So they're just superficially connected to this world. That's why the sorcerers talk about the shine of the eyes. When a person's sentience and awareness shifts, and the energy body shifts to a place of no pity, the eyes get a sheen to them, a shine. And it's because the eyes are more associated with the abstract spirit Nagwal source, emanation, force of sentient energy consciousness. Less so with this physical mundane world that we wake up in every day and struggle with and fight with and deal with and then finally depart from. So when there is a shift in the assemblage of perception, and the shift in the energy body totality, it's reflected in the eyes, because the eyes are only superficially related to this place. Now here we have notes. I just wrote down block, chakra, third eye. This is what I kept getting an answer back when I did divination, basic questions involving black and white dreams, color dreaming. What's the deal with this? I just kept getting back block chakras, and this block chakra is not just some simple block. This is an energetic dampening. This is a slow flow energy, so the brightness is not there as it should be. So you're talking about that's what you're dealing with when you talk about blockages, energy blockages of a chakra vortice. You're talking about a density of awareness that has muddled and dampened energy flow. So when you have 7 chakras, 7 bands of the energy body, 7 densities of awareness, when you get the flow going, then they brighten up and they're more brilliant, and it's the clearing of the blockages, and they're not muddled or dampened. Now this part right here, this is what I want to finish up with, because I don't want to drag this video out into like some kind of 30-40 minute thing. It's something you can turn on to while you're walking, jogging, or cleaning or something. You can just listen to this short video. David Wilcock, Dream Journaling, Remote Viewing, Prophecy. I would recommend anybody check out David Wilcock on YouTube, Facebook. He used to do personal readings for about 7 years, but he stopped. He does books and videos on prophecy and the New Age, and the things occurring in this world. He's got some really great videos online, and since you're watching, I could certainly pull these up here so you can take a look. I don't know if YouTube would strike me if I played some of David's videos or not, but let's just pull up David Wilcock. Let's pull up his channel and I'll show you what I'm talking about. The most recent one, this is David Wilcock. Divine Cosmos is the official channel. The ones I want to point to here, it's the unveiling, the revealing, the amplifying, the disclosure, and the culmination. This set of videos right here has got 4 hours, 420, 358. This is a trailer. Ignore that. Okay, so check out the trailer. But the disclosure is his work group where he has people online who he is going into more depth of detail about various future technologies. They've got levitation. They've got olfactory. They've got I've seen the hangers. I've seen I've seen the stuff that they've got going on, and the technology is pretty straightforward and basic. It's like some of the most advanced technology is rather simple and straightforward. Difficult to wrap your head around, but it can be less complex than one might initially assume. But they have some cold plasma and some basically the way energy is moved through objects, toroidal, the toroidal energy, basically shaping objects with intricate designs enough to cause toroidal energy flow states to be in the material. This goes along with levitation and anti-gravity and all this. That's not all. He's very, very well versed in dreams and prophecy and journaling, channeling, remote viewing. So he knows that he's studied this since, well, let's just say he's one of those people that genuinely started his path at a very young age. You know, we're talking 7 years old. He started reading about aliens and started reading about things like dreaming and the occult. And as he got older, he got his hands on books on remote viewing and secret projects and just, you know, different insiders writing books. And he, you know, by the time he was in college, you know, he was, you know, super well-read young lad. But I would recommend watching this, the unveiling, the revealing, the amplifying, and the culmination. I would watch every one of these. And what you're going to find in these is, there's a thing he talks about, his dream journaling, and I think he was probably in elementary or junior high when he started reading about dream journaling. And he was very drawn to this. This is before he learned to do remote viewing. But it wasn't too long before he read and learned about remote viewing. The dream journaling, basically he would write down, he'd have sections for each morning, and each morning he did dream journaling. I think he did before and after he woke up every morning. He'd write down, in the evenings he would write down like what he'd done that day, way he felt about certain things, and ideas that he had. And then in the morning when he woke up, he would immediately write down what his dreams were, what he felt during the dreams, and everything he could possibly remember from the dreams. And he did this every day, from like the time he was like 12 or something, 12 or 14. Every day. He goes to college. He's still doing this. So you're talking about, 6-7 years of just stacks and stacks and stacks of journals. And he had the understanding of the basic concept of what's called time looping. Basically, I'll put it to you this way. Let's say you wrote down every morning your dreams, every day, and you did it for 10 years. And you did it from the year 1995 to the year 2005. Let's just pick a decade there. 1990, 2000, 1995, 2005, whatever. So for 10 years, you meticulously, without fail, maybe 1 or 2 days you were unavailable or unable to write down your dream journal, but for 10 years you write down what you dreamed that night, and you did it immediately waking up. Before you even rolled out of bed, you grabbed your journal. It was already there with a pen. You just started writing, and you'd done this enough that you kept your journal entries neat. You wrote. You had a very efficient way of writing down. You didn't get lost in the milieu or in the weeds too much. You just bam, bam, bam. You got down the high points. You got down the main parts of the dream, and you did this for 10 years. Now the point is not whether you stopped or continue doing this after 10 years. The point is that a decade later, so if your 10 years was from 1990 to 2000, so 2010, you look at some of your morning journal entries, and they're kind of interesting, but they still don't make quite a lot of sense. Some of them maybe a little bit, but a lot of them no. It's kind of far out there. Kind of just weird, strange Dreams are messages, and you're not sure exactly what to make of them. Now go another 10 years. Go 20 years. So you wrote down dream journals from 1990 to 2000. In 2010, you looked at them, couldn't make too much heads or tails out of it all, and wondered maybe if it was a wasted 10 years you spent every day, every morning, writing down these dreams. But now fast forward another decade. It's the year 2020, or 2021, or 2022, and you start going back through those 10 years, from 1990 to 2000, you start going back through those morning dreams, and they start mentioning those dreams were things about medical mandates, lockdowns, things about disease, things about war, things about Russia, things about aliens, things about UFOs, things about disclosure, things about so these 1990 to 2000 here and there are these very, and in the journals, very vivid, notes are written in the journals, very vivid, very lucid. This is the message that was told to me by this thing. And you look at it, you read it, and it's 21 years later. And you look at that, you're like, oh, well, what do we have here? Something that correlates perfectly with what's going on, say, 6 months ago. And you start looking through the next month's journal. So it's 1996, May, or it's 1991, January, whatever. And you're looking at these entries into your journals, and you're reading them, and you're kind of ignoring the day-to-day stuff. You're just looking at, say, the dreams and the recounting of dreams in the early morning, day after day. And you're looking through these, scouring through these, month after month, all through 1991 into 1992. And then you start seeing a series of dreams that really speak to what's going on in the world today. So that's where you get the time loop. That's where you get the prophecy derived out of the dreams. This is messages given to by entities, angels, beings, oversoul that exist outside of linear time, who have foresight into trends and into the direction that humanity and the world will be going in this day and age. But they're speaking to you in your dreams and to your finite linear time of 1990, 1991, they're speaking to you in messages in the dreams at that time, and you're writing them down. But for 20 years, they didn't really make a lot of sense. But after 20 years or so, and you start seeing and reading and studying these years of dream journaling, you start seeing the correlation to events that are occurring now. So now you have prophecy, because what you do now is you fast forward into your dream journals into 1994, 1995, 1996, 1997, and you start scouring those entries, and that gives you prophecy for what is to come. Messages about what is to come. And that's this kind of goes towards why I delayed so long in making this video in particular, is I wanted it to have some kind of transcendental truth, some type of larger view of oversoul, sentience, of energy consciousness, of dreaming, third eye, all these things and how they're tied together. I turn on the recorder and I just get with it. I don't. I will throw down some notes, like some basic little, jot down some stuff like this to give me kind of a schematic. I guess it's the basic outline for a video, but certainly I do put a little more effort into some than this. This is pretty short. I thought I had more notes on this, but there is an interesting connection between the third eye, the chakra, dream journaling, remote viewing prophecy, and I think it is tied to black and white. I think dreaming in black and white can be, I think my black and white dream when I was young, that I had 3 times, very, very lucid, very vivid, it was in black and white. Of course, it was nighttime, but it had a black and white feel. I think it's possible that if it's a powerful message from Spirit, from Source, from Oversoul, I think if it's a powerful message, especially to one that's young or one that has blocked chakra, dampened chakra energy to that energy density of awareness, I think it can be very black and white. So it may not be that the person has such horrible chakra blockages in their third eye. It may be that the messages that Source, Oversoul, Spirit is delivering through the dream is so intense, it's so high frequency that it turns black and white, because even the smallest amount of blockage in the third eye would distort it. Now, if it was a milder message, if it was a milder transmission, it might not go black and white. But even, I would say, possibly for the most intense of messages in dreams, it wouldn't take much of a blockage at all for it to be distorted black and white, because it's such an intensity. If that makes any sense. Well, that's where I want to wrap this video up. I want to get something loaded up to the channel. If you've listened to my voice, you've watched this screen and seen these notes, please do check out David Wilcock. David's been interviewed by some pretty interesting people lately. He's kind of moved out into the area or surrounds the New Age, movement. He is, of course, a leading figure in the alien UFO and New Age mind, thinking, energy, healing. Very open to different belief systems and different people. And he doesn't. He's not narrow-minded at all. So he's very well known in that community. He has a lot of fans. He puts you in the kind of a category of David Icke. So David Icke and David Wilcock, two Davids. They have a lot in common. Let's just put it that way. David's a bit younger. I like listening to both David Icke and David Wilcock. But check out his channel. Check out these videos. It will give you some more personal insight from him on the dream journaling. And again, I mean, it is a labor of love to do such a thing. To write down every morning your dreams for the night before and do it for 7 or 8 or 9, 10 years, and then have to wait 2 decades before you could possibly really make use of the messages that were transmuted through those dreams. That's a 30-year labor of love. That's half of an average adult's lifespan. Now, if a person continues dream journaling for 20 or for 30 years, I mean, you're going to have such a monumental amount of information, prophetic, because you would have so many years that would forecast a time loop ahead of where we are right now. Now, David says that dream journaling is as effective for a lot of people as they get the benefits of meditation, like Buddha talked about. It wasn't about so much fun. He said, "What do you get out of Buddha? What do you get out of meditating?" And he said, "I get nothing out of meditating." They said, "Well, why do you do it?" He said, "It's what I've gotten rid of: anxiety, fear, envy, and toxic energy, toxic ideas and thoughts and feelings. You get rid of all that." Well, Buddha, very correct, very wise in what he said. Now, David talks about dream journaling, as I've mentioned here, as providing much of the same benefits as meditation. So if a person does dream journaling in the morning and does a small amount of meditation, I mean, you would reap the benefits of both of these. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like two very beneficial things that share a lot of the same blessings. If you do the meditation, if you do the dream journaling, you're going to get an overlap of benefit from these two things. David swears, of course, he's, like I said, a labor of love, and a lot of effort he put into the writing those stacks and stacks. I mean, the amount he has to basically, his wife and probably an assistant, just go through and take out the parts of each morning that are specifically related to the dreams and what was in the dreams, and because he has all the other stuff, later in the day before bed, what occurred that day and how he felt about those things and so on, strange occurrences and etc. That's a whole different section, and he separates. You go back through all these journals you got to take out and note each morning's remembrance of the dreams of that night before. If a person dreamed, I'm sure there are nights where a person might not even have a dream or remember a dream. I'm sure that occurred to him as well. I don't know. Maybe he mentions it in the video, but he talks about the benefits of the dream journaling every morning, eventually having as the effects and the positive aspects very much overlapping with meditation. And that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense because with meditation, you are quieting the selfness. You are observing the foreign installation of the mind. The trend, you're trying to observe yourself with a transcendental eye. So the transcendental eye is observing the finite me, the identity, the incarnate, the being, the temporary. So with meditation, you are grounding and you are centering and you are silencing and you are observing with the transcendental eye. You're looking at yourself, the finite me and the mind and the foreign installation of the self and so on, of the mind and identity and ego and all this. It makes sense that the dream journaling would have much a benefit because you are immediately recounting lucid, vivid, regular dreams every single morning, every single day for months and months and months and years. So it is an exercise in like meditation upon your own conversations with your oversoul, angels, entities, higher beings, higher frequency beings, and so on, communicating through the dreams. And the effects of either of these practices on the third eye, on the crown, on the overall totality of the energy body, they would be one that would draw you closer to a correspondence with spirit, with source, with wisdom and knowledge. I hope that makes sense. Thank you for checking out the video. I'm going to slap it, lock it. I'm not going to do a lot of editing. And can you give me a thumbs up, because YouTube is all about the thumbs up. But